So out of all abilities to forget, that is the one you, like, literally have no excuse to forget because the game keeps telling you.
Yes.
I'm just not used to using shit with Mold Breaker. Because I've, like, never really used...
Because Mold Breaker's on almost nothing.
Yes.
And when you learn what it does, that makes sense. Mold Breaker ignores...
Or it's on a bunch of Pokemon that don't inherently have moves that can...
fully take advantage.
Like, Tinkaton has Mold Breaker, but because it's still a fairy, there aren't any abilities that make things immune to those types, so you would have to work through, like, coverage, like using Earthquake or a ground.
Yes, but you also get the bonuses.
Oh yeah, the breaking multi-skill and shit.
No multi-scale, no sturdy, no disguise, no unaware.
I'm not saying that it's useless on Tinkaton, I'm just saying the things you first think about when you think of abilities to break, especially because it's the easiest way to explain. Mold Breaker is Storm Drain, absorb water moves. If you have Mold Breaker, you can hit a Storm Drain Pokemon with water and it will not absorb it.
Yeah. You can hit a Levitate Pokemon with ground damage.
Yeah.
Magic Balance balances Stealth Rocks and hazards and other... Okay, Magic Balance balances everything that Good as Gold basically ignores. If you have Mold Breaker, you could set up Stealth Rocks and they can't get bounced away. So you could status or use passive moves on a Magic Balance.
Also, well, the thing is, even with Mold Breaker, now, you know, this is one of those, like, sort of assuming moments and shit, but because the standard ability of this thing becoming the one form, because that ability can't be suppressed by neutralizing
Gas, yeah.
the rest might follow suit, so if they can't be suppressed, that ability might be immune to Mold Breaker. I say might because of how fresh the DLC is. I have not seen people say if that does actually work or not.
We can look into that later. It defeats tons of abilities. Mold Breaker is fucking stupid. And I mean that in the best possible way. It stops a lot of abilities that stop things. And not just the obvious ones, like you can't use Levitate to prevent ground damage. Unaware can't prevent my stat setup. Disguise doesn't work. Magic Bounce doesn't work. Clear Body you could actually stat drop. Oh, you have Shell Armor and can prevent crits? No, I'm not fucking watching.
No.
It's a good ability.
Yes.
It's as good as it is bad. Because it's either useless or crazy good. That is the nature of the ability. But I love Mold Breaker. One of the best abilities in Pokemon. Thanks for the Rage Powder, but the game is using spec and the time to...
Well, remember, this phase has those other moves it can click, so the game could actually... That was Terrasol song.
PK! Stop!
I made a joke about, and you don't want to edit in.
What?
I made a joke about in Scarlet, because that move was Terra Starstorm, editing in this audio of him saying the PK.
I'ma drain you. Ogrepon is the real hero we deserved.
Yes.
She's the real protagonist. And now you can club this thing over the head.
Yeah, I should live like one more. Club first, break the shield, and then get my health back.
Remember the way this battle works. When you break the shield, it phase changes and you lose your boosts. Because it absorbs your terrestrial power to heal. I'm doing air quotes. as long as you do enough damage to shatter the shield, it will phase change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that resets your boost. Does it go in? Yeah, got another shield. Help your friend, you idiot!
Yeah.
I'm using the hindsight of our different playthroughs because I was here before you, and I went in blind, but you did co-commentary.
Because other than headbutt, its other moves are special, so negative damage, but minus special defense. Though because of the having the headbutt and stuff, I think it's psychic, so because of that, I'm pretty sure it's psychic in this phase.
But the problem with using your competitive Pokemon, you're becoming Terra.
Well, you'll want to resist now. Or resist psychic now, so that's good.
You're becoming Terra Steel.
But
yeah.
I resist bullshit now.
Well, you're also not.
That's why I did the thing.
Yeah, I know.
Infinitely less. I will cope my way through. I will cope my way through a 2-in Goodra.
You go, bud.
Seriously, why aren't the rest of you helping?
They explained that.
What was the explanation?
Briar is basically down here without anything, and Kieran's sister, a lot of her Pokemon were basically knocked out, and it was set up where the only thing she had left that wasn't knocked out was the Sinistcha, but it got knocked out. She is out of Pokemon, and Briar didn't bring any Pokemon down here. And Kieran was just being a bitch.
That's some bullshit.
That's how this works, Tarzan.
That sounds like some bullshit.
You sound like some bullshit.
Full restore. You have to go back to spamming the terrace. Though, we thick. We the thickest. The thickest around. One more full restore for the ogre because it's actually water now, and because it's actually water, I don't even need my setup. and the other funny thing is, Syrup Bomb will keep lowering its speed, so that will definitely, like, Ogre Bomb is already faster, it will definitely make it faster now that I'm at full health. Like, even if it hits me, I can live and then just get all that health back with.
Oh yeah, perfect time.
Why didn't you do that sooner?
Getting pumped. Fickle Beam! Love that move.
Yes.
It's Fickle Beam.
Because
It's an 80 power move that
randomly doubles in power because the idea is that it only doubles in power when
if the other heads agree.
Hence why it's Fickle Beam.
However, 80 as a base really is not that bad.
Yeah. And then again, I know it is water, but it's going to be
The funny thing is, because you have a higher crit chance.
I think if that fucking crit boost is literally permanent as long as I stay in Ivy Cudgel, if that is the same boost as the Razor Claw, it should be a 50-50 chance to crit. So it is double stab and +1, and it's going to crit, but it will crit when it resists. Yeah.
Yep.
Making Ogre Pond the fucking perfect thing for this.
Yeah, but what's funny when I did it, because I had set up a swords dance, I just kind of skipped the phase. But it can't absorb energy anymore. It doesn't have a shield, so you can just...
I'm pretty sure it's still water type, so... Yep.
Yep.
Not
We win! He gives you a crit boost, and
Yeah.
Dom happenstance, Ivy Cudgel has a high crit chance.
Yeah, so like I said, if that works like the Razor Claw, that should be a 50...
Ogre Pond is the ultimate hero for this.
Does Turtle Netball be funny? If I was going to do Dive Ball, because, like I said, it's similar colors and turtles.
Come here, you jackass! Mine! What?
You know what? A second. No, I don't want it. Karen, you can have it. And I just imagine he just has the slowest head turn.
Unlimited power! And people thought Briar would be evil.
I guess you could say Tropicos is a stellar Pokemon.
Not according to most people.
If you can at that point, because of the moment of silence, edit in a like generic wind sound like PNG of a tumbleweed just going across the screen. Or I guess because it's Pokemon to be funnier if Bramblegast, it's like
If I can find generic wind would be pretty easy. If I can find a background groundless like Brambleghast PNG, I know how to create an effect to just move something across the screen.
And the funny thing with Terrarios is a Pokemon that's very, like, it's actually very divisive right now, where some people think it's kind of bad and terrible, but other people are like, this thing is actually pretty damn fat and pretty damn strong for how fat it is, so it's actually, like, stronger than you would think. Though a funny thing is, and this is one of those that seems to be incredibly deliberate, it gets like barely any setup.
Oh.
You do get Carmine. The set most people were using because of how fat it was I believe it was Carmine, Rock Polish, and Stored Power. Because you are fat enough to get both of those and then just, at least in singles, sweep through everything with Stored Power.
Basically.
Though, another funny thing, and I don't know if this only applies to Tropicos or this is everything that becomes the Stellar type. One of the other things the Stellar type does is that will actually boost the power of Terra Blast to 100, apparently. It actually becomes a 100 power move.
Walks up to Kieran, punches him in the gut. Yeah, I deserve that.
And, you know, like, always licensed, so, like, mute everything. Not a second of audio.
Oh, good lord.
At least that gives us an excuse to not shut up.
Oh my god.
No, fucking seriously. Like,
I know! The thing!
Where if, like, literally a second.
Going back to my other point, though, like... And I said this in my playthrough, the DLC is fine, I just hate that people sort of followed leaks, got their expectations boosted to unrealistic levels,
Yeah.
had their expectations not 100% delivered on because of these flights of fancy of these credible leakers. Then everyone, oh, Game Freak lied. This is just bullshit. It's like, no. You followed a bunch of leakers, and it's why Koo drives me crazy, because Koo lied a lot. At this point, I think Koo was lying specifically to have fake leaks mixed in with the real leaks.
I have always said for years, because there's very few times, unless someone has absolutely no chill and gives 0% of fucks, because even most credible leakers will be like 99 or like 98% accurate, and there'll be one or two things off. I've said for years, I think the reason for that is a bunch of people will intentionally throw in bullshit leaks to make it harder to track.
To make it harder to track who they are and who they're talking to.
Oh.
And Koo seems to have done that, and it pisses me off because the things that seem to have been intentional lies are the things that are the most interesting. Or if Koo was not actually doing that to cover his ass, that means the cutting room floor for this generation, all these good ideas that I feel like should have been in here, were not added. And
unless all of this does show the whole third DLC, but I feel like that ain't gonna happen.
We might get a small additional update to add in
well,
a
again,
couple...
because of that one Pokémon that...
Okay, the update that is definitely happening will finish the story. after that, I could see maybe a small additional update that maybe adds some of the features that Ku was hinting at. Because the one feature that I want to see added, and they could easily just throw this in, just add a IV editing thing that lets you edit IVs up or down. That way you could get low IVs or get an absolute zero.
I don't know if this is the whole thing. I feel like they're probably, like, unless, it's after, like, a bunch of people bitching, but I feel like the reason they're probably never going to give a way to, like, alter IVs or something is because the game already has bottle caps, so if you were given something that let you get exact, that would be an item that is deemed, like, objectively better than bottle caps, therefore making bottle caps worthless.
Then at least do the compromise a lot of people wanted, a negative bottle cap that makes an IV get treated as a zero.
True.
While that wouldn't let you get, like, a weird IV, that would at least let you drop something to zero, which would fix a lot of problems for, like, Trick Room and shit. At least throw that in.
True.
And even then, that would be a good compromise, and I would be happy with that. Just throw in a negative bottle cap. If you don't want to do a full IV editor, just give me negative bottle caps. And the negative bottle cap works exactly how the positive bottle cap does. But it makes a note, and when you're using those, and the game can make a note, that this unique bottle cap makes the IV worse. It's time for the question of the day, and my overall thoughts on the topic. So, anyway, what is your overall opinion on everything Ku said collectively, now that we are super far removed from all of his nonsense? Because I really do feel like he was likely lying in order to create fake leaks so that his leaks would seem less credible. Because if you have a bunch of lies mixed in with actual leaks, companies might leave you alone because it might look like you made a lucky guess. That, or him, and or whoever he was in contact with, saw a bunch of pitch documents and design documents and rough ideas from the concepting phase, meaning these are just concepts and nothing more, but they were basically thrown in as actual leaks because during game design, it's not uncommon to have a massive phase where you're just doing concepts and rough ideas, which is why I said the concepting phase, because that would basically be them throwing around ideas, which is also why you might see an early pitch document or an early design document in order to try and get an idea across. But just because it was thrown around doesn't mean it's in the final game. Super Mario Wonder had tons of wonder effects that basically never got past a rough concept. And if someone had leaked a bunch of those, that person would look crazy until we maybe learned, oh, those were actually just concepts and pitches that were never actually put into the game. So I could see the scenario with Pokemon being a weird mix of random ideas that were simply being thrown around so that they had a solid concept to work with, which again is not uncommon. If these were not straight out lies, then a lot of these leaks were probably early concepts and cut ideas that maybe realistically never made it past the early concept and design phase. Because again, just because someone pitches something doesn't mean they ever implement any work on it. And I get tired of leaks and rumors and stuff talking about pitches and concepts, because that often creates this obnoxious misnomer where people basically think, oh, if an idea was cut or canceled, obviously they did work on it, and obviously that means we're missing out on something amazing because they obviously did something different than this other idea. But when designing games, oftentimes an idea never goes anywhere and it never gets off the ground. So it's simply just a rough concept. And then they decide, yeah, we're not doing that. But people see these early concepts and designs and often think, oh, all of this content was removed or changed, when that's rarely the case. It's normally just a matter of ideas being thrown around, and most ideas that get thrown around never see much development or any development, because again, in order to design a game, rough concepts are used to paint a picture of the baseline for an idea. It doesn't mean they'll ever do anything with that. This happens in other creative works as well, but I'm starting to get way off topic here. You can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments, or you can leave them on social media. All of my social media links as well as my Discord links are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a shill for a minute. If you subscribe to the channel, if you follow me on social media, that really helps our communities grow. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you all next time. So, as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later.